Hello again, my lovely fourth graders. It's so quiet at school without you. I missed seeing you in the library. Hopefully soon we'll be back together and back to a normal schedule. I saw this one on my little block thing that I like because I can change it every day if I want. And it says, "The joy of the Lord is my strength." And sometimes we forget that joy is what helps us keep going. So while we're doing all this schooling and online, and sometimes it's frustrating, try to find things that are funny in the middle of it. Some of it's live, some of it's videotaped. We make mistakes and just keep going because it's just easier that way than trying to edit a film. Find things that make you happy and think about those sometimes when you're in the middle of being totally frustrated or you feel a little bit overwhelmed. If you have questions about what we're doing, you can email Mrs. Dixon. I'll put my email address up at the very end on that piece of paper so that you can contact me, or you can contact your teachers and ask them a question. They can get it to me. I'm writing it down right now as we speak. Hopefully I'm doing it correctly. Well, not completely. So I'll mark that out because apparently Mrs. Dixon cannot talk and write at the same time. So there I go. There, it will be on that page now when I pull it up for your work at the end of the day. Yesterday's video was kind of long, but we were reviewing everything. Today's won't be quite so long, so you won't have to sit too long and listen to Mrs. Dixon. Before we get started, make sure you do have the following. You have your folder labeled Winn-Dixie, your book, and paper to write on, and pencil. So as soon as you have all of that, we're ready to go. Now, did you finish your work for yesterday? If you didn't, stop. Do it first, okay? You were to read chapter 6. And then on page 9, you were to match up the words for the definitions. If you didn't know them, look them up. And I like it's just one word definition. So positive. Let me see. Positive here would be certain. So I'll draw my line. Grand. It would be wonderful. Expensive. Costly. Irritating. Annoying. I bet you didn't have any trouble with that. Trustworthy is someone that is honest, and identical would be alike. All right, so make sure that you have those. If you had them incorrect, there you go. Make sure they are correct now. Okay, going on. Nice thing is you can pause me and do what you need to do. I like that. All right, so we had to read chapter 6 last night, and I thought we found a new character in our story, and that was Miss Fanny Block. I think her story was very interesting when we started out, how she got the library. Do you remember that? Like, she asked for a birthday present, and Dad was rich and had plenty of money, and so she asked for a library. And the odd thing is, he built her a house and filled it up with books. So she had a library. So she instantly became a librarian because she wanted to share books with other people. So, true or not, it's not a true story, but it's kind of fun to think of. That would be an interesting birthday gift to get and then maintain all those years. So, as it's described in here is this story, this is the first friend that Opal makes, and it's the librarian. Now, she went to go get some books, but she knew there was a sign that said no dogs allowed or no animals allowed. So she taught Winn-Dixie to see where she was at. So probably a good picture. She's probably going up to the window and putting her hands up there and looking in at the window to see if trying to get Winn-Dixie to do it. So finally he realized that's what she wanted him to do, and he did it. So then she went inside and he was able to watch. She was choosing some books, but the poor librarian, she had no idea. She glanced, remember, Winn-Dixie's a big dog, and she's had him for a little while, but, he probably still looks a little rough. If a dog's kind of mangy or has missing spots, it takes a while for that to all change. So when he jumps up in the window and she turns around, she falls because she thinks she's seen what? A bear, right? And she tells her there's a reason why she thought it was a bear, because there's a story about a bear that came into the library one time. So with good reason, she thought it was a bear. Winn-Dixie helps her up and goes and brings the dog inside. And he comes and sits down. She pats his head, and she gets ready to tell the story in this chapter. So it's pretty cool. She meets this person. So turn to page 40, because we have a new character. And I would say a first friend is probably someone that we want to put in our story. So the character name is Miss Fanny, Fanny, Block, Block. Okay, so now we're going to list a fact about her. Well, what would you say? What is she? What does she do for a living? I hope you said librarian. That's what I'm writing. Librarian. Librarian. That doesn't spell right. Well, Brian. Librarian. Okay, librarian and first friend to Opal, right? First friend. All right. So a couple of facts. If you think something different, add to it. You don't just write what Miss Dixon has. Please don't do that. This is your paper on what we're talking about. All right. Now, turn back to, what page were we on? Turn back to page 9. So, tonight, and you'll see it in a minute, you're going to use the best word, which uses the definitions for the sentence. But I want you to look at the bottom. It says a little bit extra. It says an adjective is a word that describes a noun. Some examples of adjectives are green, kind, heavy, long. Like, I don't just have a sweater. I have on a white sweater. There's not just books behind me, but there's a lot of books or a great amount of books behind me. Whatever a descriptive of the noun. So while you're reading this chapter, I want at least 5 adjectives written down. So it's easy. You could pick one adjective per chapter, or you could take one chapter and write 5 different adjectives. Everyone's paper right here will be different, but part of your grade for this assignment is going to have 5 of them by when you turn your paperwork in to Mrs. Dixon. All right. So today is not long. You're going to read the chapter, look for adjectives, look for new characters, and you're going to do